Tara Reade, this woman right here, she has made some explosive allegations against Joe Biden. Basically, the claim was in 1993, she was sexually assaulted by him, where he kind of came up to her, put her against the wall, and penetrated her with his fingers and said something along the lines of, "Come on, man, I thought you liked me." And so she has struggled with this for a long time, and early on, when it happened, she only told like her friends and family. And I don't think she even gave all the details at the time because she wasn't comfortable yet giving all the details. And then as time went by, she slowly gave more details. And now with Joe Biden running for president and, basically him, the whole like appeal of his campaign, the whole thing he's trying to portray is Trump is so beyond the pale. Trump is so evil. Trump is so bad. Let's go back to normalcy and where we could feel proud that we have a moral man leading us. Like, this is his whole shtick. His whole shtick is, this guy's so beyond the pale. He's an aberration. Let's go back to how we normally are, which is good people. Aren't I such a good person? Vote for me. And I think that hypocrisy just drove her nuts. And she's like, I gotta get this out. So early on, she went to some of these organizations, these new organizations like Time's Up, Me Too. And the whole point of those organizations, it's in the name. It's like, well, all these powerful men have been getting away with being abusers, being assaulters, being evil sexual predators for all this time. We're going to stop it. That's the whole point. That's what they say the point is. And then she goes and tells them the story about Biden. They're like, well, so, let's see, well, the thing is, when you look at the tax filing situation where the 501c3 something, and then when you look at the numbers, and what happened was that I don't know if we are in a position where we can say anything, so we're going to take, new phone, who dis? They gave her a BS excuse, and then they were like, yeah, we're not going to do anything with this. And she was, of course, floored by it, but come to find out, one of the people who's in a leadership position at one of those organizations has ties to the Biden campaign. So really, I mean, guys, it is what it is. It's just a corporate Democrat hack organization portraying itself as some sort of objective, do-gooder organization against sexual assault and harassment. No, it's just a corporate Democrat front group, and they're total hypocrites. Go back and look at what they said about Christine Blasey Ford and how they were on her side against Brett Kavanaugh. And then they totally flip when it comes to Tara Reade. So they're all hacks, and, so quickly these organizations crumbled because they don't believe in anything at all. They're comical, they're absurd. You got like Alyssa Milano, who is leading the Me Too movement. Yes, time's up, Me Too, yes! And then the second somebody goes after somebody she likes. Did I say believe all women? What I meant was that it's a thing with the, I don't know, with the maybe she's a Russian plant and where's the evidence? So listen, you should always care about due process and you should always care about evidence. Always, always, always. There's no excuse to, that's why I was never on board with the whole, and this is something that they literally argue. They would say, believe all women. And it's like, okay, why don't you just like tattoo on yourself, we don't believe in due process? Because that's absurd. But the point is, they've immediately flipped on their own standard. They said, believe all women. And then now when it's somebody who's accusing somebody that they like, a corporate Democrat, it's due process and evidence. Right, but you should have said due process and evidence all along. So, but that brings me to the story today. So, come to find out, this leaked. I think it was Ryan Grimm who reported on this, but as soon as Ryan Grimm reported on this, what you're about to see, a bunch of right-wing organizations released it too, like immediately. And so what people are saying is, oh, they were sitting on it until we get closer to the election. They were going to drop the video of Tara Reade's mom called in to Larry King's show in 1993 after this happened and kind of like cryptically talked about it a little bit, alluded to it as big senator did something really bad and my daughter was... So they were going to have an explosive news story to drop right before the election. So the right has already done their Oppo research. They got all the information. And Ryan Grimm released it earlier. And, I mean, listen, Joe Biden, on top of being a terrible person and a war criminal and a sexual assaulter, he's a vulnerable candidate. Like, there is so much Oppo there. There's so much there where, you know, if you run an effective campaign, of course you could bury a guy like Joe Biden. So anyway, without further ado, here's Tara Reade's mom calling into Larry King in 1993 after this happened. Listen.
On this very important topic, our guests are former United States Senator Howard Baker, Richard Allen, former National Security Advisor, and Lois Romano of the Washington Post. San Luis Obispo, California. Hello.
Yes, hello. I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him.
Or she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it.
That's true.
Well, now, but these are the people who do come to the Lois Romanos, right? The staff worker who says, I want to let you know about what's going on, either with my boss or the guy down the hall.
And a lot of these people have a sense of obligation. They feel that this public official should be accountable if it's something wrong.
They're whistleblowers to the press.
Exactly.
So this is, I mean, it's a piece of evidence that, at least at the time, you know, what she said came to fruition. That she told her friends and family, her mom was concerned, this call happened, it's another piece of evidence. Apparently she tried to go through some, you know, proper channels and it didn't work. And over time, as I told you, more and more of her, she released more and more of the details. People are trying to use that to poke holes in her story and say, oh, you said a different thing then, now you're saying another thing now. And, you know, apparently it's a very common thing that somebody, when they undergo like a sexual assault, that they don't want to just come out with all of it immediately. And so it was a gradual process for her. They're literally taking things that she wrote in the past out of context and trying to argue, I'm not kidding, that she's a Russian asset. I mean, it's unbelievable the lengths to which corporate Democrats are going and neoliberal Democrats are going to try to just dismiss it and act like, there's nothing to see here, and it's not even true, and whatever. But I don't know. To me, this is a pretty stunning piece of evidence. But here's the thing that is the really uncomfortable part of the conversation. Because this, you could just say, wow, giant strike against Biden. That hurts his campaign. It shows the kind of person he is. But what's funny is this going to change anything? Is this going to change anything? And my response to that is, it's only going to change as much as the Biden people let it change. So in other words, I mean, I guess theoretically it's possible that some people at the top echelons of the Biden campaign flee him over this, and they're like, oh, how dare you? Maybe I could see that happening, but let's assume for a second that top people in the campaign don't flee. Joe Biden still, to my knowledge, hasn't been asked about this. I mean, he might be asked about it now, but guys, if there's any lesson of the Trump era, it's that there are no rules anymore. There are no political rules. Did you miss everything that happened when Trump got elected? How he was caught on tape saying, I grab him by the pussy, I don't even wait. And then he just was kind of like, yeah, I shouldn't have said that, but it was locker room talk. Anyway, at the next debate, he shows up. I just spit everywhere. At the next debate, he shows up. He's like, by the way, see all those people in the front row at the debate? They're all Bill Clinton's accusers. So he took an issue that was, you know, against him and he made it a wash politically, and something that was viewed as like, oh my God, Trump's going to drop out now. He was like, good one. And he flipped it right back on them. So Biden always has this out, and the corporate Democrats always have this out. And I'm not kidding. I've seen this argument multiple times made on social media. People say, okay, but, you know, Trump is a serial rapist. So Biden, technically, you know, unwanted penetration, that's rape. But Biden's got a lot of raping to do in order to get to the point where he catches up to Trump. So our guy only committed one rape, Trump committed multiple. You tell me, what's better, one rape or multiple? Oh, God. That's where we're at, guys. That's where we're at. I swear to you, I've seen that argument multiple times. So in the Trump era, what the lesson, if people are paying attention, a lesson that they've learned is anytime there's something that could be a big story against you, you swat it aside angrily and you power through, you plow forward, and that's it. Eventually, the story goes away. Now, theoretically, it's possible that you could have more pieces of evidence come out over time and, therefore keeps making the story come back. That would definitely be helpful to take down Biden, and it would help Tara to get her whole story out there and all the truth out there and, bolster her case even more. But in the Trump era, there are no political rules. And you absolutely, very easily, Biden could just be like, no. People are potentially now learning the power of just going, no. People didn't realize how strong that was. You go back and look at previous generations of politics where somebody gets caught in something, and it's almost always like, okay, there's like a given moment, an acknowledgement of reality moment. Like, yeah, okay, all right, whatever. No, we live in the ultimate postmodern world now, where you could just be like, no, really? But we have the evidence of the mom calling in. No, you don't know that. You don't know that's true. No. And that's what happens. And we move forward like that. So, a lot of people could be distraught over this. I fully understand that. But the flip side of that is the lack of political rules applies to everybody. It doesn't just apply to, the people we don't like using the lack of political rules to their advantage. And the left could learn from this if they weren't, total pushovers and naive clowns. And that obviously nobody who are politicians that you and I would like are accused of such terrible things. But my point is, in any realm, no matter what the argument is that they try to use against you, you just be like, no, and then just move forward. That's it. That's the new. There are no political rules anymore, but to the extent that there are any, the one is that there are no rules, and you just swat things aside. And it's very possible that, Biden and his team have learned this, and they're just going to swat this aside and move forward. But it does, I think, really expose more of who Biden is. And I'm going to go out on a limb here right now and say there are definitely more cases out there. Because when you have these rich, powerful men who do things like this, it's never just one. It's never just one. He didn't just do this to Tara Reade. He absolutely, I'm sure of it, did it to many more women. And it's possible that, they will come forward with their stories at one point or another. And listen, maybe you have Republicans sitting on that information as we get closer to the election. And maybe we'll have, a further test of that theory and that mindset. You could just swat everything aside and move forward. And just so everybody understands, the Republicans are typically better at that than the Democrats are. The Republicans are typically better at saying, like, no, I'm going to control the narrative and I don't care what you say and I'm swatting this aside and I'm moving forward. If you put enough pressure on a Democrat, usually they cave at some point. So we'll see. I think there definitely are more out there. Whether or not we'll ever hear from these people or get the evidence or see more on it, I don't know. But, this definitely is a piece of evidence in Tara's direction where, she told her friends and family at the time because she was mortified by what happened. And, the details of it are pretty terrible. And I don't know what else to say about it. But Joe Biden is not good. He's not good.